Hey, what is up, you guys? You're watching Team APS.
What up, guys?
Today, we're giving you 10 reasons why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! The reason we're doing this is because some people say that we're not positive enough about Yu-Gi-Oh!
And we want to tell them, well, we can come up with at least 10 good things. Because in the next video,
Yeah, in the next video, we'll have 10 reasons you should not play Yu-Gi-Oh! And you can watch one or watch both, and we get to play both sides. It'll be great. We're only happy and pro Yu-Gi-Oh! Today. The first reason why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is there's a lot of archetypes in this game.
that is definitely like the strongest reason to play Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think more than anything is just the sheer variety in design and theming of the archetypes that Yu-Gi-Oh! Offers. Because it's no longer bound by like any particular anime property or any particular like setting or
It's not anymore.
The positivity.
I am positive.
You get to kind of just have anything you want. Like there's some of my favorite archetypes are totally random things. I like Madolce, and they're literally about like desserts and pastries. But then I also like Vanquish Soul, which is literally a bunch of like fighting game characters.
Right.
And so it's like there's just anything.
And you don't, if you don't love just like anime, I remember there's the Ancient Warriors who are based off of like the Chinese Three Kingdoms, in case you're a Dynasty Warriors fan or something.
Yeah, or there's decks like generators, which are literally like just sort of video game
Like
bosses.
JRPG boss monsters.
Yeah, you're fighting their sort of mobs that they generate. Like it's literally kind of a story unfolding as you play the game. I always thought that was cool.
And maybe you love traditional Western media. You should play Cosmo, a mixture of The Wizard of Oz and Star Wars.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of TCG exclusive archetypes kind of scratch that itch. They'll usually just be based on some, people thought Ashen was based on Dark Souls. I don't know if that's actually true,
Who
but
knows?
I mean, generally.
Burning Abyss and Dante's Inferno, which is kind of on the nose because his name was Dante.
There's kaijus,
Divine Comedy.
which are based on kaijus.
Yeah, like it's literally
No,
that.
but I mean, there's so many different things that I do think that like, no matter what you like, you can find something because there are archetypes about mythology and food and video games. Like it's anything goes.
Oh, and Power Rangers.
There is a Power Rangers archetype, Super Quants. Yeah.
Love the Super Quants.
Very fun. So if you like variety in your game, I think,
We got it.
yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's got it. There's definitely something for you.
Another good reason, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is unique. It's not quite like any other card game.
I think in terms of gameplay, right?
Yeah. So, a lot of games, they're based on that Magic the Gathering mold. And technically Yu-Gi-Oh! Is too.
Thematically.
Thematically, at least at its very, very furthest
Inception,
core.
yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh! Does away with like hard resource systems. Your turn only ends kind of when you say it does.
Yeah, you can do whatever. Basically with Yu-Gi-Oh! There's not really a real restriction to like how many spells you can play in a turn, how many monsters you can summon. And I think what this ends up doing is like your deck building can be very creative, your combos can be very extensive and deep, and you can make big comebacks at any time. You don't have to feel like you have to like work your way up to like a really slow comeback that might get foiled. I mean, like you can just sort of explode like on the spot if you happen to draw the right card.
You can build a deck that's more risky but more explosive, or you can build a deck that's more consistent and maybe doesn't go as far. That's simply your choice, and it can play out in the game how you want it to.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's got this nice mix of decks that combo a lot, like your really fast combo deck. You've got more like mid-range strategies. For me, some of the ones I like are like Rescue Ace, Voiceless Voice, Vanquish Soul. Like those are some of my favorites.
And I started playing a combo deck in White Forest, the Abel Star.
Or you can even go like the super slow route and just kind of play like a stun control, like bring your opponent, like force them down to your pace.
Which, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but...
You might not be the most popular person at locals, but you'll be having fun.
And that is good.
Nihilism. Reason number 3 is because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is actually pretty cheap to get into. Now, I know some people will say like, this game is so expensive and the cards cost so much, but that's actually not true unless you're at like the high levels of competition.
That's true. If you're playing in YCSs and trying to get into Worlds, then yeah, you probably spent a pretty penny.
Yeah, you might even hear about that in our negative version of this video. But I think in terms of just finding an easy deck to build and play, there's plenty. There's so many decks that they release as like commons and rares, like low rarities and sets. Tenyi comes to mind, Gunkin Suship, which by the way is an archetype based on sushi. Just
It is,
kind of
in
getting back
fact,
to that first
just
point.
based on sushi. Oh, and aircraft carriers. So
Yeah.
if you like was it World War II Japanese aircraft carriers? They got those too.
Yeah, so there's just a bunch of stuff like that. You know, you can get these cards for so cheap. Sometimes things cost like pennies to build an entire deck core. And if you're playing a fun format that I actually recommend to people is just like grab friends and do something where like you have to play an all common deck.
Yeah.
Right? Like they'll always be cheap. The power levels will usually be pretty low, and that's just really fun.
And you don't actually have to pick what some might call a weak deck to play for the low. A lot of times, decks of Yester format, they're still quite strong, but because the format has moved on, the cards are actually kind of cheap.
Yeah, that's
You can
true.
play the best deck of 2 formats ago, and you don't have to break the bank.
Yeah, there's also a really big array of structure decks right now that a lot of people just are not aware of. I go to Walmart sometimes and I'll see these like structure decks discounted to $8. Fire King, that's actually won YCS events recently. Dark World, Trap Trick, Cyber Strike, and of course, what goes without saying, the Blue Eyes White Destiny structure deck.
Paul's just going through the list of all the decks he's played in the last year.
Yeah, we've kind of played a lot of these in theme duel videos, but if you want to watch, you can because,
They're all here.
yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Positivity.
I don't think there is a Yu-Gi-Oh! Structure deck that we
Haven't
played
I don't
on
think
this
there
channel.
is, yeah.
But we've played a lot, which actually brings me to my next good thing about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, why should I play Yu-Gi-Oh? Reason 5. Or whatever
You make it
reason this is.
sound so structured.
Yeah.
It's actually really fun and easy to collect. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not have the same like distribution problems that some other card games might have. Our product is pretty much always here and there's plenty of it.
That's true. You don't have to line up outside of GameStop or fight in Costco to get Yu-Gi-Oh packs.
And with the new like rarity collections, you can get cards at multiple rarities, so you can collect whatever like version of a card that you want. And we even get alternate arts now.
Yeah, I do think that that's something that kind of gets understated about Yu-Gi-Oh because it's much more seen as like a player's game. But in reality, you know, you can collect a lot of cards because of how many reprints there are. If there's a card that you want, it is available. Like you can get it and kind of add it to your collection. You could get a lot of old school cards in like their highest rarity. You can find a lot of new school cards and just different alternate rarities thanks to tins and stuff. If you're just the sort of person who wants to like fill up a binder with your favorites, that's totally possible. So another reason you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because a lot of the anime decks that you might remember from the show are still totally viable. And like,
There's plenty of them.
there's a lot of them now. Not only has Konami managed to take old favorites like Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, obviously, but they've even got things like, you know, splitting characters' decks apart. There's like a Gaia the Fierce Knight deck, a Blackluster Soldier deck, right? Like just different parts of Yugi's deck are available.
Hopefully a Beaver Warrior deck one day.
We actually recently got like Odeon support, and he's like kind of a side character. He got an entire archetype, and it's actually competitively pretty good.
And they'll go further than that. It doesn't have to be even based off of one character. Right now, there's a Metamorph deck that is based on a duel that Joey had with Bandit Keith. And it just has a mix of their cards together to encapsulate that moment in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime.
Yeah, they did the same thing with the Yugi Shining Sarcophagus deck. Kind of the same energy. It's just specifically the deck that Yugi used against the Pharaoh in the last duel of the anime. It's there. And also, this is all just like talking about DM stuff, but like literally GX archetypes, 5E's archetypes, like everything's gotten new
I
support
feel
now.
like they have made support for just every single GX archetype I can think of. I'm sure there's some like very small ones that were like one
There's
episode
a
of the
few,
anime,
but I mean, we're kind of at a
golly.
point now where I think everything's gotten new support, and if it hasn't, like wait about half a year, it'll probably come out. So yeah, I think if you're just a big anime fan, there's so many options available for you, specifically just in that field alone.
And the decks aren't bad. I always keep an Ancient Gear deck on me.
Yeah, one of my favorites actually has weirdly enough become like Gaia the Fierce Knight. I don't know why I like it. But then also like Gate Guardian got a deck.
Yeah.
Flame Swordsman got a deck. You know what I mean? Like it's everything gets a deck now. It's pretty fun.
My next reason why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is it can really scratch that competitive itch.
I do agree with this. I think that while Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, might be for some people's perspective like too competitive or too hard, I think that if you're the type of person who looks for that,
right? Because there are people out there where they want to get a little competitive. They want to sweat a little bit.
Yu-Gi-Oh will let you
Yu-Gi-Oh's got
sweat.
that in
Yu-Gi-Oh will let you
spades.
sweat.
I was saying, There's very few games that have this marriage of preparation, practice, player expression, execution, all in one go. And scarily enough, it can all happen in a matter of a few turns.
Yeah, it's very, breakneck pace. That can be maybe intimidating or daunting for some people, but I think that when you get used to it, nothing feels quite like playing around hand traps, breaking boards, finding a line after you've had your combo disrupted that can still get you to the proper end goal or put game on the board in that turn.
Winning a match of Yu-Gi-Oh! It really feels like you did something. You feel stronger. You walk different after you win.
Yeah, and a lot of the same people you'll actually see, winning and topping YCS events because it is a game where like skill and preparation does get rewarded.
If you listen to like random comments, people might tell you there's so much dumb luck.
It's like
I
a
just
coin flip
drew
game,
bad.
yeah.
But like we have prominent players in this community who will win way more times than they won't, and you can't do that with just luck.
Yeah, it's got to say something. The next reason is Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a really great escape, actually. I think that in a world where, there's a lot of turmoil and turbulence and just things going on. Tariffs. Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of offers you a way to socialize with people and like stay out of trouble, right? Like, going to the card shop every weekend is cool. You get to see people and like sit across from them and play.
It gets you out the house. You can trade cards. You can play with cards. And unlike
friends.
some card games, you're not gonna get robbed for the cards.
Well, oh wait, sorry, we're being positive. Yeah, that doesn't happen. No one ever robs cards. It doesn't happen.
Not Yu-Gi-Oh!
But yeah, you can make friends, and if you get really into it, you can also go to events, things like regionals in your area that are maybe a couple hours away, or even if you kind of want to just get the YCS experience, I recommend every Yu-Gi-Oh! Player go to at least one YCS. Even if it takes a little bit of travel, grab a group of friends, split the gas, split the hotel, and go and experience it. There's a lot of really cool things.
And if you've never traveled abroad, a YCS can give you and some friends a reason to go ahead and book those plane tickets and jet off to wherever.
Have a vacation, go 0-3 and enjoy the city.
It's good. You're gonna win.
Yes, sir. You're gonna win and it's gonna be fun.
All right, so this one is kind of one of my favorite reasons why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Gimmick cards. And the first thing I want to say is gimmick cards come in all shapes and sizes. We've got cards that are literally just puns. There's like Hado Hado, there's Ghost Beef, Mild Turkey.
Yeah, just joke cards.
And they're real legal cards.
And there's also cards that like just have weird win conditions and stuff. There's one of my favorites is Jackpot 7, which is just like an alternate win con that can like, it's weird and it's difficult and it's complicated. I won't get into it, but like it is a very alternate way of winning a duel automatically, like an Exodia-esque card.
I mean, speaking of Exodia-esque cards, there is, Exodia.
Exodia has like a deck around it now.
You get a full hand of Exodia cards, you win the game. There's Destiny Board.
There's Destiny Board, it's actually playable now, like as a strategy. There's also cards that make you play rock, paper, scissors, like Transmission Gear.
Oh, now we're getting to the wacky stuff.
Yeah, there's weird stuff.
There's cards that make you do math.
Yeah, linear equation cannon, and I think like simultaneous equation.
Yeah, simultaneous equation. I'm not gonna lie, I never figured out simultaneous equation. I feel my high school math self is crying.
There's also just like cards that are kind of based on coin flips and like dice rolls. Like Duke Devlin stuff's gotten support, Arcana Force has gotten support.
And if you like dice rolls and coin flips, we have a couple of those games on this channel.
We have done a lot of dice versus coin duels. We'll link those, watch them. They're random, literally.
You can't guess what's gonna happen.
There's even actually a coin flipping card, and I forget the name right now, but I'll put it on the screen, where you flip a coin and it like gains 100 attack or something, and you can continue flipping until you hit tails. Theoretically, you could flip that coin forever because there is a world where the coin just keeps flipping and it keeps hitting heads.
But how many times has anyone ever like flipped the same result on a coin the same time in a row?
The thing is though, you can play the deck and be the first person to...
Yeah, you can do it in a YCS. You can do it on stream. Just like dare the judge to stop you from resolving your effect.
Resolving the legal effect. My next reason you might want to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is because there's also retro formats. And I think this is a really important thing.
Time was earned.
Yeah, they're called Time Wizard formats officially, and basically if you find modern Yu-Gi-Oh! To be overwhelming, just too fast, too crazy, plenty of people do, you won't be alone, you could play Yu-Gi-Oh! From 2005.
Yeah, just go old school, retro.
Yeah, it's called GOAT format, you can look into it, but also, maybe 2005 is a little too old, you might want 2010, Edison format. That's kind of where you still get to have like the slower pace, but there's still synchros and a few more strategies and stuff like that.
I mean, I'm partial to hat format.
Yeah, 2014.
And Thunder Dragon format.
Yeah, 2018.
So virtually,
19, toss.
but you can essentially pick whatever your favorite year of Yu-Gi-Oh was, and you can still play that to this day in official events.
Yeah, it's like a snapshot format is kind of what I like to call them. And even outside of those, there are other little alternate things like speed duels, if you're into that. They don't make products for it anymore, but it's still got a very like large card pool and skill cards and shrunk down field.
Get you some speed duel boxes. Like, you don't have to pull booster packs, and you and a group of friends can have a good time.
Yeah, we've played plenty of those on the channel as well. So yeah, even if modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Itself feels daunting and overwhelming, there are other ways to play.
I think this is my last reason why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! Is you can very easily just play online. Because not everybody has a local shop. Not everyone has a group of friends where they can play Yu-Gi-Oh! With consistently. But we have Master Duel, Duel Links,
a host early days collection. If
early days collection. And a host of non-official simulators.
That's also true. I will say, I mean, I can only say great things about Master Duel. In terms of presentation, it looks amazing, it sounds amazing, it plays really smoothly. Same for Duel Links, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! Just on your phone.
Yeah.
You can literally play it on the commute. And these games are surprisingly just accessible. I think Master Duel in particular is very free-to-play friendly. I don't know if the same can be said of Duel Links, so we're being positive in this video.
Even if it's not the most free-to-play friendly thing, it's super accessible. It's just on your phone. You can play Yu-Gi-Oh! Whenever you want. And it's clean, it looks good.
It's still Yu-Gi-Oh! At the end of the day. I think that alone actually separates it from a lot of other card games, because not every game has a digital simulator you can play. Some of them have like unofficial ones, and like the company might shut it down, so.
But
kind of sucks.
As far as we can tell, Master Duel's here for the long haul, so.
Yeah, they will be taking your gems for years to come.
And you'll be earning them for free for years to come.
And I think that's a pretty good place to wrap, because those are 10 reasons why you should play Yu-Gi-Oh! However,
we did it.
The surprise is, if you found this maybe too positive, you don't like this whole icky, nasty, toxic positivity.
Yeah, you know, like these shills sitting up here just vaunting the praises of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Well, then we have the thing for you, because we made an alternative version of this video, which is 10 reasons why you should not play Yu-Gi-Oh! And we're gonna see actually which one gets the most views to like prove once and for all if people like positivity or negativity.
Watch that video be like an hour long.
Yeah, I know.
We never stop mentioning things.
We'll have it linked right up here when it's up, so check it out and let us know below in the comments, why would you suggest somebody should play Yu-Gi-Oh? I'd love to know.